The recording is in session. I will leave Nicola to you to do a short introduction first, and then Ayotola, you will do your presentation.
Okay. Uh,
Nicola, you should
Good
be able.
morning. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to say welcome to Dr. Ayotola Aremu, and she is an associate professor from Ibadan. She's also an instructional designer. She works in the Department of Teacher Education at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. She's been teaching the design and use of educational media and resources at both undergrad and postgrad level for 14 years. And the paper she presents for us today is based on research with a fellow with a PhD student in her department, Ebenezer Obidei. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Um, yeah, so today many of us have very mixed views about the benefit of social media for teaching and learning. For some of our participants, we'd like for you to share how and if you're using social media in your institution for teaching and learning. I think that would be quite exciting. Um, but for many of us, we want to know, can it be used for learning or is it a distraction? Does it depend on how we use it? And today, AO shares this research based on her experiences of using Facebook as a blended learning intervention in a teacher education course for postgraduate students. In this paper, Aremu and Obidei ask what are students' expectations of using a social network site as a learning tool. And they tackle questions about students' acceptance of it as a learning tool, the experiences of learning, and some of the challenges and anxieties, and questions about the support that students felt that they needed. I'm sure Dr. Ayotola Aremu's findings is going to be useful for many of us in Emerge Africa and beyond, who are interested in integrating social media in higher education, and it can help us gain a better awareness of some of the issues we need to keep in mind when using social media platforms in higher ed for teaching in our teaching and learning contexts. Yeah, so over to you, Aya, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much, Nicola, for this presentation. And I hope you are all hearing me clear. Okay, just as Nicola had said, this is about using media as a platform for teaching higher education. What do students expect? I must first say that I came from a background of uh, taking social media for as a social tool and not an academic tool. I never saw as in why we should use social media in the academic setting, but some issues happened during the delivery of one of my courses some time ago. We had this course on the UI LMS, but students could not get access as soon as they registered, and classes were being delayed, would have been delayed because of this. So we decided to redesign the course and use the social media platform. I've had a lot of it, I've read about it, and I was wondering, could this actually work out? I was quite skeptical, but I learned a lot through the process, which I'm sharing in this second presentation. I shared we did a first paper on the reflections of the facilitators if we were actually getting um, what we tried to achieve. So here we actually looked at expectations of the students and their gone through. We learned quite a number of lessons and a number of things that we could use Facebook for, and we could project to see what actually can be done to make such social media platform to be more effective for learning. So here we go. Just as we all know, we talk about the growing ubiquity of the social media, and with the we have seen we see that the Facebook especially is finding its way into the classrooms and even in higher education. And most of the reasons for this could be the compelling nature of this social media and popularity among the younger generations, and so many the functions of the Facebook tool has positioned it as necessary tools for higher education. The Facebook has various potential, we all know, and the first is usually all this has been documented by past authors. It's also a task management tool, and well, for a lot of people like me, I use it to pass time, to see what's going on, to meet new people. Then for learning purposes, people have reported also. And because of all these affordances, we quite a number of instructors and facilitators, uh, um, they are trying now to use social media network to see how possible it would be for education. And I have some of them reported here. For example, this Barzik, Naredi, and Duncan, 2012, it's in their study using Facebook, they found out that students' attitude to the Facebook experience was very high. But students' attitude towards Facebook ability to foster connectedness, learning, and cost convenience was rated positively, but slightly lower. They felt it could foster connectedness, learning and cost convenience, but it was rated lower than their attitudes towards the Facebook experience, their pleasure in doing the Facebook experience. Another example is this study in 2014, Gregory and Eddie, and students who actively participated in the Facebook enhanced uh, um, program or delivery. They were more engaged with the course, they were more satisfied with the course, and they performed at a higher level in the course than students who did not actively engage in Facebook. That's what they found out from their own course. And there are so many other claims about the use of Facebook in the classroom. I just cited two there. However, other people also have said quite a number of things about Facebook. No, thanks. It's not as you claim. And I just used this study of Hugh in 2011, with some of the things that this author observed still hold even till now. After a lot of literature review, this author claimed that previous studies have found that Facebook has little educational use, and that most of the educational related Facebook use has been for administrative tasks such as posting schedules, assignments, and for pedagogical, not rather than pedagogical aspects of teaching. And the author also said that most researchers who favor the use of education have not been able to substantiate this through empirical research. And I think especially this last comment is still very valid now, that even in this region, we don't really have empirical research to support the use of Facebook. And So we have the two views. Well, may not be as you claim, but some say it's still okay working. And some of the possible reasons that is seen for the negative claims about Facebook is uh, that the person, it could have to do with the pacing of the postings. Like if you have postings almost every hour, it could overwhelm the students, the frequency, the number of notifications that people, especially when you have a large group, it could turn the learners off. You know, when they are using Facebook for as a social media, they are actually using it where they are, is either they take it or they don't. They is either they read the notifications or they don't. But with learning, it's like they are compelled. They want to see what is going on. It's about the course they are learning, and it's about their grades. So if the number of postings is high, you know, these authors say maybe that's the reason why we're not really getting much academic benefits from it. Then the distractions of receiving notifications all the time. Students become more enthusiastic about the convenience of using Facebook for educational purposes, as well as feeling less like it is a tool for social purposes only as they continued to use the site. That's the claim from some other author, that if the students continue to use the site, they will become more enthusiastic about the convenience of using the Facebook. And I think that could also hold for most technologies. Okay. Now, with that background, I just want to, I said a bit of it from in the beginning, but I would say the reason why we were on Facebook for this course. I've already said that we had problems with our LMS students registering on it, and the course had been designed on this. So we had to redesign the course, and we had to use a lot of, we had to sit down and consider what are we expecting from this course, and that led us at the end of it to do a reflection about the process. Did it meet our goals? We had goals of information sharing, goals of meeting the learning styles of various people, the goals of authentic learning, critical thinking, and cooperation. Well, that report was given in another presentation, but there we felt, well, it was able to achieve some things like information sharing, like authentic learning, presentation of authentic learning. But then we found out that the communication wasn't as deep as we expected. Students commenting on issues, it was usually one way. Students say something, even if the facilitators provoke some discussion, I think they will think they were very cautious of saying anything that may earn them a bad grade or something like that. I think that is still a problem. So having reflected on the whole system, we wanted to find out what the students, their expectations were, their perceptions of the Facebook for course delivery, and the expectations of the use. So that was why we put this paper together. We had a focus group discussion, which was attended by, it was just once, and it was attended by about 30 of the students. That's about one third of the whole class. Now, I'll describe the intervention we did with Facebook a little bit so that we would understand the comments of the students by the time we get got, get there. We also had the problem of learning space at that time, and we kept moving from one location to another. There were times that we couldn't get a place to stay. So that was another reason having a blended learning. The students attend the class in 1 week, and for 2 weeks also the activities that students will perform. We actually divided the class into groups so that it's not all the students that will respond at the same time. The particular that they are, I'm sorry because I see some people are losing sound. I hope we're on again. Okay. They respond during the week that they are presented, when it's their turn. So it's not all the students, every student can make a comment or come in into the discussion, but we expect that people in that particular group will attend to the activities and posting their suggestions. And after 2 weeks, we come back to class and we have some discussions. And well, that's about what happened. Jacob, do I go on?
Yes, Ayo, apologies for the break in
Hello?
sound. That's slightly out of our control. Ayo, I would just suggest that you go on, and then to our participants, if you miss
Okay.
something, then maybe summarize at towards the end of your presentation. So please go ahead, and let's hope that.
I'll do that. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So what did we actually do? Like I said, we had a questionnaire that actually all of the students filled, but then we had a focus group discussion, like I said, for 30. It was open, but 30 people came for about 33 came for the discussion. And the basic things that we asked were what were their perceptions of the Facebook as a learning platform, Then what were the challenges they experienced and what were their expectations? Now we had these questions to lead us into the goals that we set as the focus of the discussion. That what is the level of the higher education students' acceptance of the social network tools, that's Facebook in particular, as a learning tool? Then what experiences does the student have with Facebook for learning before they undertook the course? And what were the concerns, anxieties, and challenges they experienced due to the format of delivery? And finally, what type of support will the students have wanted for the course? Those were the things that we addressed in the paper. Now, in terms of perception, I'll just highlight some things and then I will raise the questions that we have too, because we are expecting comments on what do you actually think can be done to make this experience better for the students as well as for the facilitators. We had comments about the perceptions. We actually analyzed the questionnaire and we found out that for them it was easy to use, the platform was easy to use, and they had this, they perceived the platform as very useful. And we tried to look at some of their comments that could actually make them feel that this is a useful platform. And some things like you get more information, it creates room for interaction like teacher to student. These are the thoughts of the students. And we thought that, well, since they could get more information, they don't have to go searching for a lot more. They could get links to sites. The facilitators had done that and downloaded some others for them. It's it shows it will help them with the perception of the usefulness of the course. Another thing the students said that it creates room for interaction, like teacher to student. In a very large class where students don't, not all students get to talk or ask questions, or some are even shy. Some feel, they can't just come up to do that. When you have a Facebook platform, students can actually interact with the teachers and ask questions, even if it has to do with administration, which they may not be able to come up with in the classroom. So if they're saying that, okay, they get more information and they're able to interact with their teacher, this could be the reasons why they perceived this platform as useful for the learner, as useful for learning. And one of the students said this: you couldn't have fathomed that Facebook could be used for educational purposes. They were coming to a realization of that. So what are the implications of this? These are some of the things we'll be discussing, and some of the things we actually put in the paper, which we saw as the implications. And, what are the students' expectations? Now, what we thought about this is that if the students think they're getting more information and they can interact, instructional designers or facilitators of courses should look at that area when they are designing a course using a social media platform. Would it be able to give them more information and to create room for interaction? So that's the two things that we are bringing out from there. We'll continue with that discussion. Now, in terms of challenges, what are the challenges that the students faced? I put some here, but we can see some others in the paper. And basically, what we summarized is that the challenges they face border on the level of preparedness of the students in various dimensions. Firstly, it was evident that these students were not prepared for the nature of learning that they experienced. One of them said, "We did not have proper orientation. Initially, we were confused. Some didn't even know how to go about it. Some even asked for help." In terms of technical preparation, in terms of awareness and orientation. And their knowledge of the technicalities of using Facebook was limited. What we think about is that, we assumed that, everybody uses Facebook, almost everybody does, and they have accounts. So it's going to be easy to be used for learning. But we found out that it may not be so. It was not so, and it may not be so in many cases. And it's one of the comments says, "It was later I discovered I could turn off the chat. This person has been using Facebook for social networking, but never knew some of the functionalities of the Facebook page." And it was because the student was now using it for learning that, all of these issues started coming up because there were distractions with the chat. What do I do with this? And how do I get rid of this? I'm here to learn, and so on. So the first challenge we identified was that they were not prepared for this nature of learning. For most of them, they had an undergraduate degree, and many of them were already teaching, and they never had a blended learning or online learning experience. Most of them had a face-to-face. Almost all of them had face-to-face experience. So I think transiting from face-to-face to blended using social media tools could have been the problem for the students, a major problem, where they said they didn't have a proper orientation. One of the things, these things were issues that we overlooked. Another issue that we overlooked is that we thought this was a typical next generation tech savvy students, group of students. But then we found out that they were not actually so. And this belief about, this next generation, they can do anything. Yes, they can do anything with technology, but they need to be guided. They needed experience. They needed experience with using this platform for learning. They needed experience. One of the students said, when you post materials, I don't get to receive notifications. I guess it was my phone. Along the line, I got tired and would just ask, has she posted any material? You know, these are people that were already using Facebook, but being able to transit to using it for learning needed some more orientation. And we also felt that the students had psychological or emotional issues. One of them said, oh, some people have phobia for computer. And another said the anxiety was there, how I will cope with it. Somebody said the stress of opening the link on the internet and going to the cyber cafe and so on. So we're looking at the fact that they were not maybe psychologically ready in terms of using the technology. And it is understandable that, well, I've said this before, that most students came from face-to-face learning mode background, and nothing prepared them for this sudden transition. And you know, they just came to class and we announced that, oh, this is what we are going to do with this course. We have this challenge with our LMS, and we're going to use this platform. And okay, how many people have an account using Facebook? Many people have. So it's just like us, and we use your emails to give us your emails, we invite you, and so on. So it was a bit confusing for some of them. One of the things that we think is that discussing the advantages of such a platform might have reduced the anxieties of the students, and also explaining the possible challenges. Now we're talking in terms of implications of what the students have said. Some of them also talked about challenges of, you know, having to subscribe to the internet. Having, some of them had to buy laptops, some had to go to cafe to browse, because in the institution we don't really yet have free internet access. It's gradually getting on now. Some in the last session, just this session, or the one we just concluded, students were given access, but it had particular times and in particular locations. So they still had the constraints of buying these things, which they felt they were not prepared for. They didn't know they would have to pay so much, and all this could cause anxieties. Another of the challenge is that the challenges that the students said had to do with the learning platform itself. Like one of the students said, I don't like Facebook because it is so distracting. Since materials have been posted on it, I have no choice than to check it. You know, it's a peculiarity of Facebook being a social network. Everybody is there. Somebody also said, I also find Facebook distracting because my friends can see my groups. I think the department should create a special website. And another said, I start getting chat messages, which is so distracting, and I have no choice than to reply. Some friends complain I don't respond to their chat because they don't know I'm there for academic purpose. So all those distractions were there. And you know, what do we say about the students' expectations here? We're looking at, oh, they're thinking about a more close group, a more academic kind of social networking platform where they don't have to, other people don't have to know that they are there. They don't have chats that would distract them, and so on. And that's why one of these, I think the department should create a special website. So it cannot be disputed that Facebook was designed with social networking as a goal and not necessary for academic purposes. And this informed the features on the platform. It's a place to catch up with friends and find out what is going on. Going on the platform for academic purpose, even if it's a special group, does not insulate you from friends. So the distractions will definitely come. So from here, we started having suggestions of using other social network tools or platform that are basically academic. Okay, the nature of the responses of the facilitators to the students' post was also another source of frustration for the students. because the students complained that when we post assignments and there's no comment from you, we feel dejected because we don't know if you like what we did or did not accept them. We would have expected you did this well. I'm impressed. In the regular class, they want the comment, but we wanted conversation. And that's an issue that we can talk about. And I'm hoping that in this interaction, we will really look at that issue. If students are expecting what goes on in the normal classroom, yes, we can acknowledge, but we want other students to come in and to discuss. And they are agitated that whatever they have put there, they need to know that something is correct about it. So those are the things that we would be expecting. We expect that after the 2 weeks, the students will come to class and then we'll do a thorough discussion and clarify issues. Okay. Now, in terms of expectations, what are the things that the students expected? We classified it under three, and that is in-class support for technology use, provision of facilities, and using a flipped or blended learning kind of environment. So, well, for the in-class support, it just means a demonstration session should be conducted during the first series of classes. Like some of this were reflected in the statements of the students, that in the first class, there should be an online work in the class that will accelerate target. That is, the lecturer posts a work online and the students respond online. They wanted to test run the whole process first, and before really going on to serious work. They felt that okay, that would help them to get acclimatized. And there can also be an interaction that would involve everybody in class. Somebody said that too. Another said there could have been computer training for some of us who are completely strangers to the internet. So those are the issues that came up in terms of in-class support. This further goes on to show that even if a tool is as simple and popular as Facebook, it is still necessary to make some time to explain, to take the students through, to learn how to use the course for learning, and even the technicalities that could cause distractions to bring it up. But the questions we are asking as facilitators, and we hope for comments also on this, is that with the already limited class time, how do we provide for such a training and still complete the curriculum? Or do we refer all training to the overbooked training unit of the institution and expect students to get all the training in their spare time? And do we limit our technology use to the skill adequacy of our students? If we find out they can't use this, okay, let's look at another one that they can use. So these are areas that we are thinking on. Another area of support that we said is provision of facilities. Some of them say, okay, they had to go and buy even a computer, some didn't have, and so on. And somebody said, but I think the faculty needs a computer room. Where when you were trying to introduce us to the course, some have access to a computer. Some you might be shocked. Maybe it's IBM they are used to, but when there is no computer room, well, there it helps. Okay, so just talking about the fact that okay, we are not all tech savvy as you think that we are. So the questions that we may ask, we continue to ask: do we limit our technology use to the lowest levels of affordability? And would it be worth the while teaching with just affordable technologies? We felt, oh, Facebook is affordable, but when we now put, oh, all materials on it, they have to download, they have to go there regularly, and it seems to take the cost up a little bit. How do we provide for that? And how can we support students who can't just afford the technology at the cost of technology use? Most of the students also express that going totally online for a course like this may not be too welcome. That's the third group of expectation. And some of them said we should not eliminate face-to-face interaction. Interaction session that would make us better. Somebody said we could have a kind of flipped classroom so that these activities will help the classroom. Well, all of them agreed that they are not ready for full online work now, and it's quite understandable. They still, okay, the Facebook platform has its own purpose also, and it's helping them. However, there was one student that said, I would have preferred more of online teaching than classroom teaching. It's boring to me sitting in the classroom for 2 hours. But then, the classroom is a major platform of social interaction for brain maturation. So I still have to come to class. So we have groups of students like that. Incidentally, that student did not speak up during the focus group discussion, but went to the Facebook page to write this particular comment. So we might have more students like that in the classroom, and we need to cater for them. So the expectations, we need to cater for all the group of students. Okay. So one of the suggestions was that since the students will be offline for 2 weeks, we should throw questions online for them to work on. And the third week, when we meet in classroom, there should be a presentation, since the classroom is an avenue to learn more and also develop mentally and socially. So it raises more issues for us as facilitators. Well, that's an issue for facilitators all along, whether face to face or online, being able to cater for the different learning preferences of all students so that no student is disadvantaged. So we keep looking at all these things. Now, from all that I've said, let's hone everything together. We get excited about the prospects of using technology, especially social networking tools. This may be because of its popularity and ease of use. And of course, this was confirmed in this study that the students found it easy to use and useful for learning. However, from this report, we can see that for the learning platform as Facebook to be efficient and to be effective, a lot of things need to be done in terms of preparedness. And some of the things that we looked at is awareness of affordances beyond the classroom. Let the students be aware that it's not only about the content, it's about developing also 21st century skills, which they will need in the world of work. Skills like critical thinking, teamwork, creativity, problem solving, and so on. And then we should really look at activities that enhance collaboration and enhance conversation. We must, students are transiting from face to face, where most of the time we do lecture, and even if we ask questions, students respond. There's that conversation, communication thing there, and we want to enhance this. So we should look at our design more closely, and the design that would bring interaction for the student, that will engage them. And this particularly calls for training on how to use these social media tools to enhance collaboration and interactive learning, rather than just the transferring the traditional teaching online again. So we're saying that activities should be designed to enhance this collaboration, and there must be modalities, like in our case, to allow students. How do we allow students, individual students, to respond and comment to their response in such a way that other students will also want to come in? We won't give a final blanket answer, and students will now relax and say, okay, at least this is what the facilitator has said. But designing in such a way that all students will now come in and understand and participate and think along together and collaborate. And we say that this one borders on pedagogy, and it also borders on experience gained from use. And this has the implication of this is that research and studies such like this should continue to go on, and especially by educational technology professionals, because we will give the guideline for others who will begin to use it. And one of the reasons why we're reporting this is not everybody would be able to read up so many things, find out in our own context how do we use Facebook. They may not be able to go for training, extended training, but if we report on all our experiences around the region and showcase what works, what will not work. It will help a lot of people. I hope I've been able to communicate um, uh, uh, our paper. I want to say thank you for listening, but I hope we got something. Thank you very much. Jacob?
All right. Thank you so much, Ayotola Aremu. I apologize for the break in sound. We had a bit towards the end. I will now open up for questions from participants, and I think I'll leave that over to you, Nicola.
Thank you, Jakob, and thank you, Eo, for your very interesting presentation. And I'm sure participants will have some comments coming up and some questions. I was wondering, when you speak about catering to different learning preferences, how do you see that Facebook helped you to do that?
How? Please?
How did,
Hello?
for catering to, can you hear
To
me?
different learning. Yeah, I can.
Preferences. Yeah.
Okay. How did we cater for the
Yeah.
learning? How do we hope to cater for the learning preferences?
How did
When we're
Facebook
talking
help?
about, how can Facebook help? When we look at learning preferences, we're talking about whether a student is visual or just oral or a read-write learner. And from on Facebook, we can upload different kinds of materials, whether they are videos or audio materials or PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoints, and each student would basically containing the same things in different formats. So this it's not like the student have to go through everything, but the one that most appeals to them. But I must say that what we find out is that the students want to go through everything in case they miss something out. But we keep encouraging them that there are so many materials there, but they basically contain all the same things.
And I was wondering, what do you advise for people to do when they want to use Facebook for teaching and learning, for Facebook to be effective?
Okay.
Recommendations.
Uh, okay. Well, if I think the first issue is the issue of instructional design in such a way would enhance conversation and collaboration. It's not just a platform that you just post information and materials and get students, but you want to reflect on authentic situations, and you want students to come in. It's when they converse and they collaborate that they can learn together. So the issue of the instructional design should be the first thing. Sit down to design the course in such a way that it will generate conversation, it will be activity based, and the students can connect with one another, discuss online. So I think that's the first major thing to be done. And then secondly, find out the skills of the students. There are some things that you just assume that the students know how to do, like the issue of the charts, like issue of uploading, many things, simple things, but which, well, they didn't need to do if they were just social net, if it was just about social networking. So those are the two initial things that one should look at: the issue of the instructional design, and then providing the technical backup for the students. Okay, you are asking if we can give examples of some of these activities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For this particular course, this course is instructional media and resources. And the goal of the course is for students to be able to identify resources that suit particular content. So we create scenarios like, oh, you have just been posted to a particular school and everybody is excited about using computers and they are setting up a computer laboratory. What are the things? I think that module had to do with different kinds of network tools like using scanners, using cameras and hardware like that. So what are the things that you will suggest and how would they use it? So we create scenarios like that that students would meet during the when they go for teaching practice or when they go to class. You know, other scenarios like the PTA of the school, they are considering how to use, if they should incorporate computer. Now you want to convince them. What are the things that you would say? What are the things?
Oh,
Hello, Nicola.
um, hi, Ayo. Wow, that's very exciting. And it also links to an upcoming Emerge seminar, which is on learning design. And I
Okay.
think what you're telling us here is that the learning activities are just as important, and it's not just about the technology. Um, so I liked your examples, and in the article
Yeah.
you also shared how, and it seemed to be very much about authentic learning activities. Am I correct? Or you want to tell
Yeah.
us a bit more
Yes.
about that? How would they use it for the
Okay.
teaching prac?
How do they use it for the? Well, is it about the authentic learning? Actually,
Yes. So
get
I think
that.
you were saying
It's about the
okay. Well,
design.
because you were talking
Oh,
about the
how do students
scenarios, or
use
you were
it?
talking about scenarios.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. How do the students use this for the teaching practice? The
Mhm.
idea is that if there are situations during these programs, they would be able to identify what kind of resource or what kind of media or even computer-based tools they can use to teach any of the content. There was a particular module on that where we looked at different kinds of modes of computer-assisted instruction. And as we looked at these modes, we were supposed to look at our various contents. The students have different teaching subjects and then see which mode fits most. So this would help them to identify the kind of media that they would use when they go into the classroom for their teaching practice.
Mm. Oh, thank you very much, Aya. It really helps. And if our participants have any more questions, yeah, please add your questions for Aya. I see people are typing. Great. And you also mentioned that your the students had to be taught how to use Facebook for their learning and for educational purposes. Do you think this is a big challenge that students come with this baggage of or beliefs about how social media, because of how they already use it, that's how they will use it for learning? But do they have to make that shift?
Well, well,
And do you, Sorry?
Okay. Well, we missed that whole part out because we just assumed that, okay, since they were using it for social networking, they won't find it difficult to transit to using it for learning. But what we are saying now is that, well, before you ever touch any tool, even if the students find it easy and they have been using it before, you should explain what the purpose of using that tool. For instance, in this Facebook, we wanted students to interact more than, in even in a face-to-face class, it's very difficult for all the students to interact, but online that could be actually generated, and just as theorists have said, this enhances learning. So when we're talking about using the Facebook with the student, we need to let them know this is the way to go about it, and then explain the technology behind it. If somebody says something, you can add your post, you can make it continue the conversation, and you can put some maybe at so and so, this is what I think, and you should not be waiting for the correct answer before you now do your posting. So those are the things that need to be communicated and explained to the students before you go ahead and use it.
Okay, thank you so much. So they also need to be told about how is the Facebook different to the classroom interaction?
Yes, yes, yeah. They need to understand
Okay.
that too, how they how they can use that the platform, that how it's different. I think that's a vital one. How it's different from the
Mm,
face-to-face class.
yeah. So I was wondering if when you do the course next time, what do you think you would do differently?
Actually, we did the course, we just completed the course again. And what we did differently was that we didn't actually use Facebook, we used Edmodo this time around. And we looked at, because that was more closed, students felt safer. I must say that for the Facebook, one of the comments of the students, which we didn't report verbatim in this study, was that, she didn't want people to know she was on a program, but
Okay.
by the time we put them on Facebook, everybody knew she was on a program, that kind of issue. So we started looking for other suggestions, and we came about this other one, Edmodo. Then another thing we did differently was that the first class, we actually went through every step of registering on this on the site, and the different modes, and how do we paste things, and used examples right there in the classroom. So I think that helped a lot. We would later be trying to see the differences
Okay, that
between
yeah, that's really
these two
interesting.
classes,
So you're
and
saying the
hopefully
learning,
we'll
whether
get
it's in a
something
public
about that.
space.
Mm.
Hmm. Yes, and so you're saying with the Edmodo.
Yeah,
So you're
it
saying
was
with the
more
Edmodo
closed
that was more closed,
with the
um, it
Edmodo.
was a different experience teaching the course than with the Facebook, which is
Yes.
a public open space. Did you guys use a group, you used a page, a Facebook page, or was it a closed group? What on Facebook did you use? It was a
It
closed
was a
group. It's not
it was a closed group
and Facebook,
where only the
was it a closed?
students, we invited on Facebook. Yes, yes, it was a closed group on the Facebook.
Okay. So even though it was closed, it had implications.
Yes, it had, because this the students, well, maybe because the students didn't know some of the things they could turn off, some of the things, security things they could do. and reducing the distractions and so on. So that was why it looked very public.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ayo. Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you, and also to our
Yes.
participants. If you guys could please also interact in the forum. So there are some interesting forums here in the discussion. And one of the questions we also hope to find out more about, and I know Ayo, that's what you're interested in, is who in higher education institutions are using social media. So if you want to just tell folks a bit more about the information you'd like to
Yeah.
share, Ayo.
Okay. Well, in the forum, I would really appreciate if we contribute to the forum, which will be open from today till Friday. If people who have used Facebook or any other form of social media, what were their experiences in class? And did they experience things like we reported here? How did they go around it? How did they plan for their activities on this platform to generate conversation and a lot of collaboration, which is one of our main goals, and to bring students out to interact with one another, and what other tools were available to be used for the students. How did they prepare their students to use such a learning platform, Facebook or any other social media? So I would expect uh, more comments on that.
Oh, thanks a million, Ayo. And thank you to our participants for joining us and for interesting comments coming in. I see Ebenezer's also talking about Edmodo as being a just specific, deliberately designed for educational
Yeah.
purposes. And that's possibly also why, um, whereas Facebook wasn't designed for educational purposes, yet we can appropriate it for that. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
oh, so I guess we're also
Yeah.
interested in.
It still has a lot of this.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you now.
Okay, please go on.
Okay. Yeah, you were saying even though Edmodo is closed, but it is, or it can also be open. Oh, thanks, Ao. Edmodo was designed specifically for educational purposes, where Facebook was more for social, but we can appropriate it for learning purposes. I see it is 2:04, and I know some people probably only put this hour aside. I know Christine's already left, and I see a couple of others. Yeah, any other questions, folks? Please feel free to enter into the chat, and also the forums. But I think maybe if we close this session and head off to the forums, can I suggest that, Jakob?
Yes, certainly, certainly, Nicola. Also from me, thank you so much, Ayatollah, for your great presentation, and also to Nicola for facilitating this session. What I'm going to do now is just to switch off the